What is the one thing that brings you absolute joy? 4 years ago, he shattered my reality in a sterile estate lawyer's office in downtown Chicago. We had been married for 19 years and were supposed to be finalizing our family trust. Instead, right as the attorney handed him a titanium pen, my husband pushed the heavy parchment away. He turned to me, completely dead-eyed, and announced he wanted a divorce. He was leaving me for his 24-year-old spin class instructor. He was 46. I sat there frozen in my sensible wool coat while he clinically explained that I had become too domestic and predictable. He claimed he needed a partner who matched his entrepreneurial velocity. I had raised his twin boys, managed our household through his 3 failed business launches, and nursed him through a severe spinal surgery. Apparently that made me too domestic. Within 2 months, he had purchased a $1.2 million industrial loft in the West Loop and leased a matte black Porsche 911. His social media turned into a non-stop highlight reel of a man desperately clinging to youth. VIP bottle service in Miami, courtside basketball tickets, photos of her in designer swimwear holding oversized champagne sparklers. His bio was updated to building empires and chasing sunsets. Our twin boys were 14 at the time. He dropped them completely. He missed their state hockey championship. He missed Noah's terrifying ER visit for a shattered collarbone because he was off the grid at an exclusive mindfulness retreat in Tulum. He was entirely consumed by his shiny new existence. I spent the next year operating like a ghost. I survived on black coffee, lost 20 pounds from sheer stress, and stared at the ceiling until 4 a.m. most nights. My best friend Sarah practically had to force feed me dinner. But eventually, the devastating fog began to lift. The sadness crystallized into a cold, hard ambition. I took the $15,000 we had sitting in a joint savings account meant for a kitchen remodel, and I signed a commercial lease. I finally opened the artisanal bakery I had been quietly dreaming about since my 20s. I poured all my betrayal into kneading dough before dawn. I also started weightlifting, using the heavy iron to physically exhaust myself. I built physical and mental armor. I didn't do it to show him what he lost. I did it to remember who I was before he drained me. Then, 14 months ago, the universe intervened. I was at a massive restaurant supply warehouse, struggling to lift a 50-pound sack of rye flour into my Subaru, when a man offered his help. His name was Marcus. He owned a small batch coffee roastery 2 towns over. He had warm, tired eyes and a gentle demeanor. We stood in the parking lot talking about wholesale profit margins for an hour. We've been inseparable ever since. Marcus is steady. He doesn't need to perform for an audience. He spent an entire Saturday teaching my boys how to change the brake pads on my car, covered in grease, completely content. But the absolute best part of this story happened last Tuesday at 6:15 a.m. My phone buzzed with an unknown number. I answered, and it was my ex-husband, hyperventilating. It was the first time I had heard his voice in nearly 4 years. His flashy tech logistics startup had just been raided by the ears. His investors had completely pulled out, and he was hit with a crippling $350,000 tax lien. The absolute second his bank accounts were frozen, the spin instructor vanished. She literally packed her bags while he was sitting in a brutal legal deposition, taking the purebred French bulldog and the Cartier watch he had bought her for Christmas. He called me from a prepaid burner phone because his primary service had been disconnected. He was sobbing, begging me to help him cover a lawyer's retainer. He actually had the audacity to ask if he could sleep on my basement couch because he was facing formal eviction by Friday afternoon. I didn't yell. I didn't hurl insults. I just took a deep breath, told him he needed to tap into that entrepreneurial velocity to solve his own problems, and quietly hung up the phone. Full story on the channel, link below.